And we're back. I hope you all like that tribute to Vanguard. Allow me to have my moment of nostalgia. Ogres. That's what we were talking about, right?
Yes.
Can I say real quick, like, if I would have known about Vanguard, I probably would have played it. It looked like that game was a little pimp. Wolf people?
Well,
that looked awesome.
Yes.
No, they didn't have tails.
No, they never had tails. That was the complaint, is that they were supposed to have tails and they never did. I do want to say, though, that the person that recorded that video edited part of the settings, so they removed the fog setting so that they could see like very, very far away. And if you tried doing that when the game first launched, you probably would have crashed and burned your computer just trying to do that.
Nice.
But yeah, beautiful game.
Nice. So, ogres.
So this is where I don't hold back a little bit, because now we're going to bring it into the novels and the ogres. And even at SOE Live, I told them, I asked them, I'm like, well, when I minored in history, right? And so you always want to have points of references, like the start of an era. What is the dimensions of the Farrat forest that they talk about in the e-novel? Where is it at? How far is it? What is the political landscape going on outside of just this little ogre city that we hear about? That city does not exist in a vacuum, and we know nothing else about where it is. So why didn't the ogres have any allies? Did the elves conquer all their other allies nearby? What was their situation? It's all these things that I'm thinking about, because it's like, I don't know. Instead of doing the e-novels first, I think that they should have really, like you, Flatus, I think you're right. I had to take back what I said. They should have done an encyclopedia. And they should have done maps, encyclopedias and maps, and then characters, and then stories that encompass those places, those time, those eras, and those events that happened, and give us the contextual story that went along with it. Because the novels are interesting to read, but they really don't tell me what I need to know about the world of Norath. They don't tell me anything. It's 45 pages that basically, because all of the major characters that were introduced die. Right. So what does it tell me? What does it tell me other than the elves attacked the ogre city, and they didn't just lay siege to it, they blew it up. And that's what we learned. I could have told that. I could have told that in a one-page story. There was no reason to drag it out for 45 pages.
I didn't like any of the e-novels to the point where I couldn't finish any of them.
I mean, some of them were good. Others needed a little more work. But this one felt like it was 45 pages, but it was just more of a...
Shallow?
Yeah, it just didn't feel like... And Ogres won the build contest, but that's like a build thing. And Fugazi kind of made the joke earlier, he's like, with the whole, like, well, the wiki should be done by the fans of the game. Fugazi said, I'm already doing free artwork assets for him. Why should I doing the lore for, like, doing the dictionary for him? He's kind of got a point.
Right,
and like, listen, and if somebody from SOE decides to listen to this, and then if they want to take my idea, please use it. And if you just kick back me a little, no bear butt quest in game. Just do something nice. Throw up a digital cloth map. Hear me out. Cloth maps were all the rage back in your SOE days. People loved them. People want them again. I've not, myself, and probably half the chat, and a lot of people on Twitter would say, have said, if EverQuest Next came with a physical box collector's thing with a cloth map, people would give you the money. If you did, a digital cloth map of just the areas you've shown so far, and just fogged award the whole other parts of the map you haven't shown off yet, or discussed, that's cool. And then you click on it, and it kind of leads you into, this is where, alright, Farrat, da-da-da, gives you a little story of it, and you click into the ogres, and gives you, what you've released so far about the ogres.
Oh my god!
That would be a fantastic thing, and it unlocks more as you go through and you unlock these things.
Well, and like you can sort of see them when they did the phone app, right? Like it was kind of like that as you went through the phone app adventures, like it unlocked. And you're absolutely right. If they could have done that like as some sort of web-based program where as they're going through the build competitions, they're unlocking parts of the map and they're adding little clicking things where you click on it and you'd be like, here is the jungle of Firot, and in the jungle of Firot is the ruins of the Ogre City, and that
would be fun because that app is bugged as shit. I'm just saying that app's. Listen, there are times like I've completed certain things in an app and got erased. They've just gotten erased, and like I can't get like they're like connect to Twitter, click the button. I wait, and it kicks me off. Like it sits there, loads. It just repetitively just does this. I'm like, I give up. I give up on your damn app. Why?
So that's I mean I enjoy reading fantasy, and so like it's not like a chore for me to sit down and read through the novels. But at the same time, I when I sat down to read the novels, I thought that it would introduce me to Norath beyond what I already know, and for my impression, it hasn't. It's given me a fantasy environment that I'm familiar with, so at least I don't have to like try and rediscover fantasy. But at the same time, it's like, okay, here is this ogre city that I can't place in anywhere other than this jungle. I can't place this jungle anywhere, and it's like, well, man, it feels like it's really in a vacuum. I guess that's one of the other things is that like I learned more about that event that happened in reading the introduction that Morgar posted, as like this event happens before all these other events, and so like I'm like, now I have my time reference. Like, when did this happen in time? Because without that introduction from Morgar on when it happened in time, you would have no idea when it happened. None. And that's huge. That's like, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just overstating it.
No, I agree with you. I think that Morgard's write up before the book was better than the book. It was. I had more. I was like, this is cool. Then you read the book, it's like, oh. It's like being told that this is the greatest cake ever, and then you bite into it and you realize this is just box cake. It's not like handmade love cake. It's more just like, this is just another Pillsbury cake with crappy Betty Crocker icing on top. This isn't like homemade love cake. This is just like...
I want homemade love cake.
It's good, right? When you get like a cake that's homemade, it's so much better than a piece of crap like Betty Crocker, like... add like the powdery bag of crap that you get. Just felt so generic. Like it just felt like such a short 45-page generic lackluster ogre thing, and then it's sad. And like I feel like this could be more. Like aren't we embarking into a damn new Norath? Like, isn't it supposed to be like this great experience we're supposed to be going into, and they're paying these guys all this information, like paying all these guys these money to write these short stories? Like, let these guys like give, like, I hate to say it, but even though some of the new Blizzard stories suck, they're better written than these 45-page little short stories.
Here's what I don't understand. Sorry, Flatus.
No, go ahead.
I haven't been involved with Sony games for as long as a lot of these other people have, and probably not near as long as most of the chat has. But let me start off by saying SOE has an amazing player community. You don't run into the JAs that you run into with Blizzard. That being said, Sony games are pretty rich in lore, and there's a lot of players that are really, really passionate about their lore. Why didn't they go to their players to write the new Norath stories? Because I think they would have been better than the crap that we've gotten out of some of the authors. And I'm not going to like blanket statement that all of those books were really bad, but they were bad enough that I didn't like them enough to want to read them. Like, why can they not? So they talked about it, but did they? That's just
it's yeah. If you go to the EverQuest Next forums, they talk about what their plans are for like fan fiction. I don't know it off
Yeah,
the
but
top of
that's
my
fan
head.
fiction. That's not official fiction, and the ebooks are official. They should have gone to their players for that.
No.
I want to know where the real fanfic is. Like somebody send me a link to the dark stuff.
So like you say, look, we need a story that gives us this, 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 and this. Write it, submit it. The best one is taken, and then they're like, okay, well, we need to change these things.
I think that they talked about that in one of the landmark clients or one of the workshop shows, because it's not a foreignly or not a crazy foreign concept. I think they've mentioned it. I just don't know where to find that information that they've talked about that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they have mentioned it once or twice, but I mean, I don't know. Rawr.
I agree with Layden. Fall was the best one so far. I think Fall is one of my favorites.
No, and again, like the first e-novel that we wrote where they talked about the Tyrdal going through the rift into the Umbra realm, I thought that it was great because it told us enough about the world of Norath that we had landmarks that we could look for to find where the Tyrdal went in through the rift. And so like I was thinking to myself, is like that would be really cool to try and retrace the route that the story took to get to that rift, because they said that, like, you know, this is where they started. They crossed the river. There was a city. There was a dome. They went into the caverns under the city, and they went down far enough, and then bam, cavern, and then that's where the rift was at. And I'm like, that's enough, you know, road markers for me to try and figure out and recreate that. And I plan on doing it as soon as I'm in the world. So I thought that story was really cool for those reasons. The second thing is when they introduced and I'm going to totally space his name, but when he went from Archmage to Lich, badass, because it introduced that character. And I Diggs is absolutely right, because he was saying in chat that all of the major characters that we've been introduced to so far are evil or they die. We don't have any hero. We're missing.
No, and that's kind of a cool thing, because we don't have any heroes yet. We know Furiona V is one of the main protagonists of the game, besides us, the players. So we know that we have Furiona V, which we know is a given. They already we see her in the painting. We see her SOE live in her new fancy plasticky costume.
Right.
We know she exists. She's not been written yet, but she's there. So this is a lot of like, people are dead. They're telling us a story of how we got off Norath, off to leave, and we know about bad people. We know about bad guys. We know that there's evil waiting for us when we get into the game.
Right.
But I think they need to start compiling that, or start doing little things where it's like
encyclopedizing it. and so two other things that we've learned from the novels that I'm actually kind of looking forward to is, now that they've introduced the jungles of Firot, and that the ogre city, capital city that was destroyed by the elves, is there in the jungle, you could probably go into Firot and look for those ruins and be like, dang, ogre ruins right here. So that's kind of cool, because you can look for that. The troll tier waterfall, it should still be there, right? You should be able to go and find that landmark from the Neve novel and make the connection. Like, this is a place that they were talking about in the Neve novels, and here it is in Norath. Wow, that's cool. I've made that connection between fiction and role-playing world, MMO world.
I was going to say this, like Daniel the Jack in chat says, the novels are history, which is important to remember. Yes, the novels are history, but doesn't mean history has to be boring.
Well, no, they are history, but like I just said, that 45-page novel, I could have condensed it into one page. It was...
Yeah.
Lies, one sentence.
Well, okay, but see, I did say that the story itself could be reduced to one sentence, but the world we got introduced to a couple of landmarks, but landmarks don't a story make, but landmarks can be added to an encyclopedia, which might actually be pretty cool, because you could, here is the jungle of Firot, and here's the ogre capital city right here on the map, and right next to it is the waterfall that they talked about it right here on the map, and you can start to get that grasp of the world just by looking at the map and connecting the different locations. And then when they were talking about, I forget, Ashfang? Were the elves?
Yeah.
Were the elves captured and were experimenting on the dragons in that one e-novel? That's another place that we should be able to go and find the ruins of it. Yes, no?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. I think that everything that we see in the book, we should be able to go look and find. And it's there. And, like, Victorian and Chess is my one complaint about the novels, that I have no idea where they take place because I don't have a map. I'm saying that a nice, like, digital cloth map, like it looks life and clothy, and it's still digital, you click on things, would be nice. And where it relates to the books.
Yeah, and, like, that's, like some of the fantasy books that I've read, they all have like the little map, and then they have like an encyclopedia at the end, so that when you're talking about when they introduce certain things, like you can be like, I have no idea what this is talking about. And you flip to the encyclopedia, and it'll be like this person and this concept and this item that is unique to this fantasy world. You can find out about it, and that's I think that's what is missing right now. And somebody. You can kind of push it back on the players, like, well, we have access to the wiki and we can build it ourselves, but at the same time, it's like they're holding so much more back that even the little bit of things that they could put out would make a huge difference, like the map and the places on the map.
And it's sad because we're getting to that point where, what now? Like, what's the information now? What information do we have looking forward to? We got ogres. We have the ogre build going on. We have... What do we got?
We got a little bit more about the story about what happened after the Combine races left, and then what events happened that they can tell the story about why the Combine races decided to come back. Because that's where the story of EverQuest Next really starts, is when the combat races come back. Bam, start of your game.
Yeah, and that's where our story picks up. Like, that's exactly where our story, our EverQuest Next journey begins. Is right from the point where we decide to come back. We're already, well, we decide to come back. We're already there. We land, and then we have the base camp where we go pick up our, we have our main class to go pick up our rest of our classes, and we're just kind of unleashed on this new Norath to go raise hell. That's pretty much the way... No, Tamlin and I are not having a beard growing contest. This is this is now Beardcast. Welcome to Beardcast.
If you guys, when we first started the show, I had a beard, and then there was a government shutdown, and I thought I was going to lose my job, so I went to a couple of interviews, and for interviews, I didn't want to have I wanted to look clean cut, so I shaved it, and I just, the day that my house flooded, I decided, you know what, I think I'm going to grow it back now, and then, yeah.
Same. I lost my job and shaved for the purpose of getting job interviews. And now that I have a job, I'm growing it back. So
I've been having a hard time getting mine to fill in, so I just
mascara. Use some mascara and. If you missed the joke, that was from the beginning of last episode. So There was a point that this one was made. Fugazi, the maps in Game of Thrones are intentionally incomplete and not connected to show the lack of geographical knowledge people in the medieval setting had. Fantastic point. And even an incomplete map would be better than no map. Because even if it was a misrepresented map, or if it was an inaccurate map, I'd be cool with that. And one of my favorite things is like playing a game like the entire World of Darkness from White Wolf. They misled people all the time, and you had certain factions that believed one thing and certain factions that believed something totally different. And it was all cool because the storyteller could ultimately be the person who decides what really happened, and the players could be like, well, I don't know, it could be this, could be that. And it was that era of mystery in the world. It was part of that world, and it was great. It was awesome. And so it goes back to, well, what type of world is Norath going to be? Is it going to be part of that world to have a little bit of inaccuracy and mystery to it because like Game of Thrones is like that? Or is it going to be more of like where the player has omnipotent knowledge of the world and the character might have like inserted ignorance until they've discovered, because eventually all this is going to get known. We're just being a little bit impatient, right?
That's a good point. I don't know. I kind of want. It's weird. I'm asking for one thing, but like gaming wise, like as a gamer, I kind of want the other. Like in game, it's kind of what's like. I don't want to refer to D&D. It's not like, well, there's player knowledge and there's character knowledge, because that's kind of thrown out the window when it comes to gaming on a
Exactly.
MMO, because you know, it's not like you're actually, well, unless you're physically role playing, you're like, nope, I don't know that exists. But you kind of do, even when you're playing D&D. You just you're bound by the DMs. So,
well, and DM dungeon masters in D&D, they could punish players that were metagaming, because players would make assumptions, because like, well, I read in the one source book that this is what was going on, and so I'm making the assumption that that's how my DM is going to do it, and then they do something and the DM's like, nope, that's not how it works.
40 spiders. You have 40 spiders now. No, not 40 spiders. It's kind of the thing, like, a cloth map would be cool because it would just tell you, this is the area, that's, like, we don't know what's in those areas, we just know that's Farrat. What's in Farrat is up for us to discover. And there should be, like, little hidden passageways and things, and Kyle's just kind of losing it at the whole, like, DM would screw with you. Like, listen, that'd be funny if there's some guy just paid in the Rose song. They actually plays the Rose song, and it's just like, he's like, I'm gonna screw everybody.
I'm just trying not to, like, cough a ton on stream tonight. Sorry.
That's cool. We also forget that the Rose songs direct us. Well, no, I don't want to say direct us, but kind of, as we play the game, pick up on our habits, I guess, would be the right word or the right way of putting it. And direct, yeah.
The Rose song just wants to play Rochambeau with you.
Pretty much. I mean, there could be, like, the most interesting thing when I learned about the Rose song was like, okay, so when I first heard it, I was like, oh, so the Rose song is kind of my quest giver? But then it was like, no, it's kind of like you're guiding, like, if you don't know what to do, you can open it and be like, well, if you would be interested in this area today, and it could be something you actually are interested in, or it could totally be screwing with you, and there could be a dragon there, and you're just like, pop! Get stomped, and the Rose Song's like, dummy. Look at the dummy did. Gets squished by a dragon. He's a dummy. Like, I would love. I'm not saying Rose. If Rose Song, I hope Rose Song talks. You're an idiot.
I would actually love it if the Rose Song talked.
Oh my god, if the Rose Song was voiced by Peter Dinklage, I would be fantastic.
No,
that would make my day.
I don't know.
Dylan would turn it off. Dylan would turn off the voice.
Yeah, if I don't have to listen to the game, I normally don't. Yeah, see, this is kind of the thing. Like, one of the big things that I loved about Vanguard is that there was no real strong web presence for that world, for that game. So if you couldn't just like go Google search the answer to the question you had on how to solve a quest, or how to beat a boss, or where to go at this level, or where to get a weapon upgrade. You couldn't just like Google it and Google would tell you where to go and what to do. And I kind of like that about Vanguard. And so like I do want a frame of reference for Norath, because I want to understand the world better as a player, because for me to really buy in and love the world, I need to understand it in that regard. And I don't think that they're doing a very good job of it, because they don't have those framework pieces to put the different stories in right now. That could change over time. I don't know. When it comes to the actual gameplay on like how things work, how to defeat certain bosses or stuff like that, I'm hoping that there's not a big, strong web presence for all that stuff. I hope that it remains pretty much player discovery type thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, remember, it's supposed to be a living world, so things should change in the world. Like they said, the wandering guy that teaches you how to be a cleric. Like, that shouldn't, like, no one else should be able to find that. Like, go online and be like, well, this guy was here, and he's always off this road at such and such time. It's kind of like in Rift, if you went the side with all the time traveling and all the mechanics and stuff like that. There was a dude outside the main city that if you helped him when he was trying to be mugged, you would get a title. No, if you killed him, you got a title called Merchant of Death instead of help him. Like, that was your option, like, you helped it. Like, and I thought that was fun. I thought that was different. It's like, you could help him, and you got no title, but then I was like, oh, I can kill him too? Bop! And I stabbed him, and I was like, oh, I got a title called Merchant of Death! And then that was my title at, like, level 1. I was just, like, flattest Merchant of Death. It was fun. And people were like, how did you get that title? I was like, I'm the Merchant of Death.
That's awesome.
I know, it's so great.
I think I muted myself. Yay.
You get a pass. You can get a Tamlin. You can pull a Tamlin when you're sick. That's fine.
Yeah.
You get a pass. You get a pass when it happens.
And as Seahole said in chat that they're coming up with the small stories rather than developing the overarching arch. If they're to believed, they have the overarching arch of the story. They just don't tell us about it. We've seen like how the eras break down, and we've gotten we can focus on that a little bit more and focus on the specific eras that they've told us about, and build the chronology, I guess, of it. But what we don't have right now is we don't have easy access to the information that they've given to us. Like, unless you want to go back and look at the lectures that they did at SOE Live, you're not going to get it, because that's where we've gotten most of the information from. And I that's where it's kind of back. Well, who's responsible to do that? If the game company doesn't do it, the game developers don't do it, and the players haven't done it, well, what should we do? And that's why Flatus said, like, if you document that you're filling out the Wikia, we've got a Halloween outfit code. We'll just shoot us.
I think we got one of every code. I think we still have silver suits left. We have some glass panels left, as far as I know, and we have the Halloween costume.
Yep.
If one of you decides to step up and do it, you can have the trifecta.
Dude, I'll freaking do it for that.
Yeah, right. You can have the trifecta. You get the future, the little silver body, dog suit,
silver shiny butt suit. They call it the shiny butt suit.
You get the shiny butt suit. You get the Halloween tech suit, and you get the glass panels. There you go. You get a whole buttload of stuff. You update the wiki.
Yeah, so the overarching story goes something like: the elves rose in power. They were the only race that had access to high magic. They used their high magic to make slaves of all the other races. Then they started taking on the dragons with their high magic, and they got slapped down, first by breaking their high magic so that they lost it, and then the dragons went to war on them, and they lost the war and left the continent that they were on. Some time goes on, and the races come back to the land where the dragons kicked them out of. That's the overarching arch, correct?
Yeah, so far, and then we pick up from there.
Yeah.
The point of the little short story is that it kind of tells the story up to the point where we leave. It doesn't really tell us any, unless they release a story of and I think that story may come out right before the game is launched, is a story about the reasoning to come back. I think maybe that story, and then we'll start from there. That would be my guess. Oh no! We got linked to the timeline. Yeah, but we've seen this. This is done.
Yeah, see, and so it's like you click on one of the links, and it's like 2 sentences.
Yeah, it's the timeline. It's the Kaldarian era, and then the Age of Awakening, the Age of Balance, the Age of Exploration, the Age of Decline, the Lost Era. So, and then also, we also got to remember that they did a vote of like what gods and what era that we kind of wanted to know more about. And what was it? The gods come from different timelines. So the Dal era has different gods than the Lost era. So there's a whole. The lore goes deep. The problem is we're just kind of like they have so much lore that they could give us a lot more kind of it, and I'd like to see more of it, and they could do it in such a way that it wouldn't affect the overarching story. And they could do it in different ways. It doesn't have to be in short stories. They can do they could put up a write-up about the 4 gods and the different gods and what they mean and how they relate to each other.
Okay, so e-novels and ogres. I think that why don't we take some questions? I feel like we've covered the topic in depth enough as it is.
I agree. Yeah, let's take questions from the Chizat, as the kids like to say. I forget that chat. I forget that the video is lagged behind.
Yeah,
so it's like
the...
I expect instant gratification of questions, and I don't get it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to wait for our questions.
Yeah.
Boom.
Listen, and we could sweeten the pot. Best question tonight gets a thing.
Gets a thing.
Gets a thing.
Yeah, we'll give you a choice. You get a choice between the silver butt suit, the Halloween tech
shiny
butt suit,
shiny
butt suit, or the glass panels. You get a choice, and that's like based on us and what we think the best question is. So, you ask question, we think it's good, you get something.
Wow.
Oh, you know what? That's what I'll do. I'll bring up the ogre style sheet so that we can show off some of the pictures.
Yeah, we can talk about that while we get questions. Or nobody wants anything. I guess people are just like, oh, we got a question from Legendary. There's ogre style guide art with a rug with a fish on it. What association are ogres and fish? I don't know. To me, ogres are like onions.
Oh!
There should be an onion on that rug.
Oh God.
Here's another thing that I thought that they could do for like kind of the encyclopedia, right? Is that in the workshop show and in the novel, the latest novel, The Razor's Edge one, I forget the name of the e-novel, but they talk about the same creature that the ogres hunt these wild boar-like creatures with the curved horns or whatever. Draw us a picture of it. Really? Is that too much to ask? Like to have a little, snippet of what it will, like concept art of it, so that we can look at it, and because we're gonna see it in game at some point in time, aren't we? So they've got to have the concept art for this creature. Could we see it?
Yeah. How did you talk about it so clearly?
You don't get nothing.
No, because it could change by the time we have to release the game, so we'll show it off now because.
Well,
it could go with
all right, so this is a picture of its face, but I was thinking more of the body of it, unless it's just a big pig. I snipped this out of the workshop show where they talked about it.
The fuck is that?
And here is an interior picture painting of the interior of an ogre structure.
Now, interesting. That looks like a dragon fountain.
A dragon fountain?
Yeah, the water piece. The last picture you posted up. Now, I'm watching the video on screen, so I get a little bit of lag. So I saw like it looked like a dragon's face.
I see what you're saying. It looks kind of like a gargoyle, as in like the traditional sense that it was the water spout on the top of a building where the water came.
Yes. I get it now. That's
actually a pretty nice observation. I missed that.
Yeah, it looks like a dragon. It almost seems like... Now, see, it would be interesting where we talked earlier about, like, oh, they're smart, but what's to say that the ogres didn't worship a dragon?
Did they worship the dragon? They don't. No. In the e-novel, it was interesting because they called to their higher power and they called it the warlord, didn't they? Didn't you notice that in the e-novel?
Yeah. We don't know what their warlord is, but see, they look, and that looks pretty rad to me. I think that's a cool looking dude.
It reminds me.
That dude's got a big old gash across his chest.
It reminds me a little bit about the Mogu from WoW, to be honest.
WoW, yeah. Mogu.
All right, so I'm going to go and look up the actual workshop style guide. Were there any questions? discussions.
Let's see. Question: should each race have a defining weapon like hammer for dwarves? All right, I'll start copying. I'll start going through these questions, and because I can lock chat and grab them real quick and throw them in. So go ahead and pull up the style sheet as I grab questions, and I'll start reading them off. Legendary. Let's see. Legendary had the one with the fish, the ogre, and the carpet, and the fish. So we're pulling up the style guide now, so we'll look at that. Did anyone steal a little kid's candy last night? How many bags? What was the best candy? Well, last night was November 1st, so who steals candy on November 1st? Bad person. Daniel the Jack. Question: should each race have a defining weapon, like hammer for dwarves? I think that it would be interesting to do a take of like there be like some sort of like weapons of legend or lore, like that a race could have, and there's a couple of pieces for each race. That'd be kind of cool. And like they're craftable, like you could find like the ability to craft said weapon. That way crafters have a reason to make something awesome in game. That would be kind of a cool take.
See, I sort of agree, because it would be kind of cool. We've talked about it before about how like all of the starting races, they shouldn't be required to be only like, you can't block that they will never ever be able to be this class. But we thought that it would be interesting if you started your ogre, you could be like this. You could start as this class, and this class, and this class, which is different than the elf starting classes. Even though the elf and the ogre can eventually get any class in the game, it would be kind of cool to do it that way. And you could kind of like see what people wanted to play by what sort of weapon that race had available to them.
Yeah. Daniel the Jack again with should any race be allied at game release, or should they all be neutral?
They're all going to be.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they're all going to be neutral because they're all the combine races together. So, now, as for maybe, do you mean now? Like, clarify your question. Do you mean races as in us, the combine, or do you mean races as in maybe races we find out in the world that we come out in? Like, oh, hey, you're an ogre that we used to know ogres, and we're friendlier to ogres than we would be like dwarves. A lie, the female ogres got hips though.
All right. So here's one of the questions. Can you name another high fantasy where ogres were smart? The answer to that question, because I do a little bit of research before all the shows, is that ogres, the original definition of ogre is really just cannibal. It really just meant a cannibal. And that goes back into the French origination of the word. And some of the art that I looked at, they weren't large, they weren't monstrous. It just looked like a human that ate other humans, and they ogre. And now, if you look at the whatever the origination of the word itself, it could have been referencing to the French word for Hungarians. It could have been a reference to the original word that Tolkien devised orc from. Because it was like Orcus or something like that, and Tolkien devised orcs from that original root word, and at the same time in fantasy, that word went from Orcus to ogre, because that's the way the French used it. But it's not, and I was serious. Like, when I went back and I was looking at it, it was actually the ogres in D&D that we first see the ogres as the giants, and dumb giants at that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the tropes. Like, giants are giant.
Well, see,
they have ogreish traits, I guess it is. Like, they always kind of follow the same tropes.
Well, and I thought that's one of the coolest things that they did about EverQuest, the ogres in EverQuest, right? Is because you had because the traditional thing is that if you're good at one thing, you have to sacrifice something else to keep all the races kind of balanced, right? And so the original EverQuest ogres, they were intelligent. I'm not going to say they were intelligent. They had average mental capacity, which is still pretty good, right? And then they had incredible brawn and strength. And those two combined together meant that they were just a wrecking force across Norath. And the gods punished them and be like, you can't be good at everything. So you get to keep your brawn, you get to keep your size, and now you're dumb.
So mean.
It happens. That's what happens when you anger the gods. But it's true. Like, remember the video I gave us? Maybe I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 episodes ago. It was part of that whole series of the Hive Leaders, my dream MMO.
Mm-hmm.
The thing he talked about was races. But he even mentioned back in the day when you picked a race, you had a choice. The choice was. It played into part of the character. Like if you picked troll, you were going to be hated by other races. Or if you picked ogre, you were strong and you were tough, but you were dumb. And that came out in game. And if you were a dwarf, you were better at dark. You could see at night versus a human that couldn't do that. You needed a source of light. Like those little things are missing, and I would hate to see EverQuest Next go back. Like do that. Like I feel like that my character choice should have an importance, an impact, or else we're just all humans, just in different funny shapes and different funny styles. That's all we are. We're just all different humans with different colored skins on. That's all it is, and that sucks. That's not what a game should be, right? Like I should want to play a dwarf because I like having not only the physical attributes and looks of a dwarf. That should come with ups and downs of being a dwarf. I should be short. I should be able to see better at night. I should be able to hold my dwarven name. There should be little things to that.
I should have a greater tolerance to alcohol.
Yeah.
See, that's where I get kind of bored with the whole concept of elves or dwarves, because I'll have to, like I said, like when we did our dark elf show, or maybe it was our Karen, when we talked about that, like I was really looking forward to talking about dwarves because I want to go back and look at where Tolkien devised his dwarves from, because there's the original dwarf from Norse mythology, which were I don't know. I wanted to read more about them in that context from the Norse, and I just don't remember them talking with a Scottish accent. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to know where that came from.
Because if it came from Tolkien, I'm just going to have to... because I know that a lot of what Tolkien did was base his creatures and his races off of different linguists, different language trees, because he was a linguist. So like the elves are Gaelic or something like that. And if the dwarves are Scottish, then so be it. But God, it gives me a headache every time now.
They shouldn't be. They absolutely shouldn't be. And I wonder what Shrek would have been like with Chris Farley instead of what's his name? Because Chris Farley was originally Shrek was originally written for Chris Farley to play.
Was it? It's
I know, I can't think of his name either. I'm thinking of everything he's been in.
Right, yeah, he's
Myers.
Like Wayne's World. Yeah,
See,
Mike Myers. It's like thinking.
God.
I thought Michael Myers. No, because it's Halloween, right? The name Michael Myers jumped into my head, but I'm like, isn't that the bad guy from Halloween? And I was like, no, I'm confusing myself. But if you say Mike Myers, then fine, Mike Myers.
I was about to call him Wayne from Wayne's World.
Totally right. That's where I went to too.
I was like, it's Wayne. Can't go wrong with Wayne.
Party on Wayne.
Yeah, right. Party on Garth.
Did we get to sing the Foxy Lady song?
and I was right. I had to Google it really quick, but Michael Myers is also the name of the monster from the Halloween series. So
yeah,
I had wires. They were too close together, and they were shorting themselves out. Like, no, this isn't working. But yeah, Michael Myers.
As far Daniel Jack brings up a point. As far as the racial differences, the keyboard system should be able to be helpful there without any sort of membership thing.
That would be awesome if there was a racial keyword that was automatically applied if you were a certain race. like ogres always have like physical thing attached to them, so that any ability that modified physical,
Yeah, I mean, use your systems. Do it well. Wow, me.
Write that down and tweet it to them, because that's not just that's a great freaking idea. If they could, like, if they always have a weapon in their number one ability slot, right, so that they're hitting one and it uses their weapon. If their racial ability is that always has the physical keyword added to it because they're ogres, and their animation adjusted to that because they're ogres, that would be cool. Because then an ogre mage, like with his staff, like he might shoot a fireball, but for some reason it's like some sort of physical fireball. That'd be, I don't know, too left field.
She's on a trip.
I psyched myself up, and then as soon as I got to physical fireball, I went, oh crap! I don't have a good example.
As soon as I got to physical fireball,
it fizzled
out there. Is the like Jubilee from X-Men? Sparkles flying out of the air.
Oh, legendary saves my butt, right? A percussion blast, so that when an ogre uses his fireball, because they're so big and so they're so massive, when they do throw their fireball out there, it adds a percussive blast to it because it's physical based.
Yeah,
that is badass.
Yeah, absolutely. See, these are the systems, and they may not be thinking about this. So if you have that idea, and we don't listen. Do I look like I work for SOE? No, because I wouldn't be doing the show. I wouldn't be allowed to. So go tweet it out at Dave and say, "Listen, Flatus has a physical fireball." Oof, no, that's sad. No, but yeah, go tweet it out and be like, "Hey, listen, be like, listen, I was talking on EverCast show. Here's the idea." Blah 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 blah. I guarantee, if they haven't thought about it already, that they're going to be like, "Oh wow, we didn't think about that. That is something we need to implement."
Or they'll just write it down, and it'll be cool.
Yeah, and they can always test it out and be like, "Oh, this is kind of fun." That would be added to Marshall. Yeah, like, go for it. Like, I think there needs to be, like I said, I think that we're at a point in MMOs where it doesn't matter what race you are, because it's just, oh, well, I like the pretty people because they're pretty. Well, which one's the pretty one? Technically, they're all the pretty one. It just depends what size and what's funny and what one looks better in the armor.
To be honest, that's why I started playing humans almost exclusively, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of trying to pick a race. I just play a human, and I have the human that I play doesn't look like me, but there is a picture in my head of what the Tanlin looks like, right? And so I always try to make the Tanlin that I'm playing in the game look like the Tanlin is in my head. And he always wears plate, and he always prefers using polearms. And that's how I game.
You are such a Lancer in Final Fantasy.
Damn right. You know, we don't.
What?
A girl.
So,
go on.
So we only have like 2 or 3 minutes left before we end it for the evening. We'll be back again next Sunday, of course, same time, at starting at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern.
Kyla should be better by then. Chewie should be back.
Good God, I hope so.
The house.
I am so sorry.
Maybe they'll start doing some work on my house.
Yeah. Well, no, wait. No, wait, hold on. Kylas, will you be here next weekend?
Good question.
I don't know. I hope not. I mean, no offense to you guys, but I got an invitation to go to something. So.
No. I hope you're not, because I hope that they give you something that I can have, because you said you would give it to me. So I kind of hope not either.
What am I supposed to give you, Flatus? Because it sounds a little,
It's access to something that's not released. Yeah.
Okay. I know what you want.
So, yes. Yeah.
I'm so...
It still sounds terrible.
I was like, this is sounding way kinkier than it's supposed to.
And
how
this sounds a lot worse. We can kind of say what we can tell them. Like, I don't think what are they gonna do? Rise up against us?
So a friend of mine invited me to come to BlizzCon with him, and I love you all, but BlizzCon, dude, BlizzCon. I'm sorry, I've been trying to go for 5 years straight.
By all means, like if I had a chance to go to Blizz, I'd still go. I still play. I may not play Warcraft, but I play Diablo. I play StarCraft. I play Hearthstone.
Well,
so I'd go.
Depending on a few things, like I could potentially be home before we even start, so I might not even miss it and still get to go.
Yeah. Talon would. Oh no, you're not going, would you?
No. But that's fine, because I'd rather be sitting on my couch watching the tournaments than going there and watching in person.
Yeah. You don't have to deal with physical people, but like...
Yeah, he doesn't deal that well with crowds. He really doesn't. And lines, he hates both of those things.
Lines. It's not the crowd so much. It's lines. I'm not good with lines. I don't like waiting.
Hanlon, instant gratification.
It's more like...
You're like me a little bit, because I don't like queues either. Like in game, when I have to wait in line for a game, I'm like, this is a game. I shouldn't have to wait in line in a game.
it's server login queues. Yeah, that will set my blood to boil if I'm paying for it.
Oh, I will flip. I will kick over computers.
I will. If I'm mad enough about it, or if I'm not playing the game enough to justify playing it as it is, that's like subscription canceling. Like, I'm paying to play, and if I can't play, I'm not going to pay. But see, like for ArcAge, it didn't really matter because I wasn't paying to play it. I just wanted to toy around with it. Because I feel like I'm obligated as an MMO podcast host that I should see other MMOs so that I can talk about them. And so I wanted to run around in that world and see what they were like. But there was a line, and I'm like, I'm not paying money to jump to the front of the line. I'll just come back in a couple of weeks.
Yep. It's even then. I've said enough on ArcAge. I've said so much about it at this point. But anyway, that ends the 38th episode of EverCast. Thank you so much for hanging out and hanging out with us. We had Kylos being sick and here, and us having a talk through Landmark and Ogres and everything. And the show we wouldn't have a show if you wouldn't be here. We'd just be two people talking. Might as well not even do that. Just might as well sit in TeamSpeak and do that. So we love you all, and thank you for showing up, and we will see you next week. And Kylos is 50-50. I hope she goes. More for the fact that I may get something in return for it.
Wow.
I really want to play it. Anyway, thank you all. If you would like to join the Helsing Army, we are currently playing Final Fantasy. That is your jam. The holidays are coming up, so if it goes on sale, trust me, I will link it out. It is a fun game to look into if you like Final Fantasy and you want to join us. We're having a blast. They just released the Rogue/Ninja job, and that looks like a ton of fun.
The Vanguard emulation server information is not hard to find. If you have any trouble finding it, message me privately, but of course I'm going to encourage you to look for it yourself first. And
yeah, and
it's a beautiful game. If anything else, just run around and look at all the sites.
Yeah, and do that. I mean, like, we want you guys to go have fun, and our game that we talk about isn't out yet, so we're going to have fun the way we want to have fun, and if you want to come join us, then you have the ability to go do that. So, anyway, thank you guys. I will camp us out, and we will see you next Sunday. Before I go, real quick, you can send us emails at evercast.show@gmail.com. You can follow us at Twitter at EverCastShow. We are EverCast_show Twitter or Twitch, which you're here right now, so give us a follow. And we have a blog page as well, which is blogspot.evercastshow. Am I right? Is there an underscore in there?
Yeah, it's EverCastShow, all one word, .blogspot.com.
There you go. If you want to see what we're talking about, the preview, like for next week, it goes up. and you can kind of follow it.
Yeah, I will be better about that. On Thursday or Friday, look for a post on our blog about what we'll be covering on that following Sunday. I don't want to announce. Well, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be talking about because we like to react to what they're talking about on the Landmark Live and on the workshop show, and that's on Wednesday and Thursday. So sometime on Thursday or Friday, we will come out with what EverCast is going to be about on the following Sunday.
Yeah. So find us there, and also our YouTube page, where if you missed this, or if you only catch half the show, or you kind of want to go back and watch it again, or listen to us at work if you want to listen to it again, we are at youtube.com/EverCast. And that is it. Thank you all again for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time. And camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you all next week.